Game of Thrones Episode 2, The Lost Lords, follows a pretty great groundwork laid down by the first episode. In true Game of Thrones fashion, everyone is in a very shaky predicament that requires a lot of thought on what the best course of action is. The question is, can this episode keep up the momentum that the first ended with? I have mixed feelings about the presentation of this episode. We will start with the good. One of my bigger complaints I had with the first episode was that almost the entire game's locales felt the same. There just seemed to be a lack of scope in the setting's aesthetics, which come as a disappointment to someone who enjoys the beautiful settings in the show. This episode completely alleviates this as you get to see a little bit more of Ironrath, the Wall in Castle Black, Yonkai, which is a city across the Narrow Sea, and the famous garden in King's Landing. The new characters introduced are also great, especially Asher and Veshka. The characters that returned from the last episode remain to be about the same as the first episode, which is mostly good. I even found myself not hitting Garrett nearly as much as last time. Mira's storyline continues to deliver as well, with a decision that had me stumped for a while, thinking about how much the repercussions of helping House Forrester could affect her ability to help later in the game. But like I said, I have some problems in this segment as well, and it can be summarized simply by saying it really feels like the majority of this episode doesn't advance the story in any meaningful way. While I loved Asher, his scenes are action and non-defining conversation only. House Forrester's predicament remains largely unchanged as well. Garrett's storyline is so far isolated from the rest of the events of the story that it seems he is going to be stuck retreading Jon Snow's story with no consequence to the main plot. The story of this episode is a lot of fun, but I can really only see one aspect of this episode having a dramatic effect on the future of the series. There are no surprises in the gameplay as you would expect. You are still either doing quick-time events and action scenes, making decisions within conversations and a few other instances, or doing very light exploration of the environment. This episode does a much better job of balancing combat throughout the episode as compared to the first episode where all the action happened in the first 20 minutes or so. The exploration aspect is just as worthless as it has been recently. Every time I finish an episode from one of Telltale's more recent series, I think back to the first season of The Walking Dead and how they made exploration matter, and I'm left wondering, what happened? As with all of their series, the audio and video remains basically unchanged. Jon Snow's likeness joins the game, which I was really excited for his appearance, but for this episode it was basically just filler. Tyrion and Marjorie's likeness are present once again and are still very well done. As I mentioned before, the second episode does a much better job of diversifying locations, and it really is a benefit to the aesthetics of the game, especially the beautiful colors of the garden. The oddly muddled background textures and a weird halo effect that are present on all the character models are still here, but they're a fairly minor nuisance. The audio remains the same as the first episode. It serves its purpose well, and once again the voice acting is mostly well done, especially by the HBO actors who are now joined by Kit Harington as Jon Snow. Game of Thrones Episode 2, The Lost Lords is an entertaining episode, but that doesn't hide the fact that a lot of it appears to have little consequence in the future of the series. Hopefully the rest of the episodes are able to keep the level of entertainment as high as it was in this episode, but also be able to effectively advance the story in a meaningful way. I give Game of Thrones Episode 2, The Lost Lords, a 3.5 out of 5. Don't forget to like and comment on this video, as well as check out all the videos that came before it. Also, be sure to subscribe for more PC gaming news, reviews, and commentary. Thanks for watching.